Indeed, the tributes to the Queen Mother have celebrated almost a century of service to the nation.
But what of those too young to remember all but the most recent events? Carl Heidel went to Wilby School in Northamptonshire to find out what children there thought of today's historic events.
In single file, they came to witness the pageant and ceremony of history in the making. These children from Wilby Primary School near Wellingborough, like many thousands across our region today, are making their own tribute to the Queen Mother.
This morning we've come into the hall as a whole school to think about the Queen Mother who died on Easter Saturday.
The 101 primary school children said prayers for the Queen Mother and her family. Even though the TV reception was poor, it didn't put the children off.
It's always sad because the Queen Mother died. She's a very nice granny and it's sad.
There was a solemn atmosphere. The children hushed as they watched the grand ceremony of a state occasion.
I wanted the whole school family to witness a moment in history which will remain with them for the rest of their lives, and one which they will never forget.
At 11:30, the children observed a 2-minute silence. Time to reflect upon the Queen Mother and what she meant to today's young Britons.
We didn't really meet the Queen's mum, but I feel sorry for her family. I think it's really sad because I have a granny, and if she died, I'd feel really sad. I feel like she's been living for so long and suddenly her life's just stopped, and it feels like all her memories have just gone.
After the funeral, some of the children were encouraged to discuss what they'd seen.
Do we know the names of the Queen's children?
I know Prince Charles.
Prince Charles, well done.
Today's funeral is a very special day for these children. Some are obviously far too young to realise its true significance, but many of the older children will probably remember this day for the rest of their lives and may even tell their children about it in the future. Carl Heidel, Anglia News, Wilby, near Wellingborough.
The children of Wilby School echoing the sentiments of most of us in the nation.
A sad day, and for many a very moving day, but also a day to celebrate a great life, well lived, and a chance for us all to say farewell to a much-loved grand lady.
We'll be returning to some of the images of today's events at the end of the programme, but now the rest of today's news.
Wellingborough motorist Doug Sparks has been caught driving over the speed limit, but he hasn't been fined. He was issued with a ticket for speeding in a 30-mile-an-hour limit, but Doug complained, saying he knew nothing about the speed restriction because he hadn't seen a sign. Sarah Beecroft reports.
Keep an eye on the left-hand side of the screen and look out for the 30-mile-an-hour sign. Missed it? Watch again from the side of the road, and only when the lorry moves away does the sign become visible. By which time Doug Sparks had already gone round the roundabout and into the village of Wilby, unaware of the 30-mile-an-hour speed limit.
I'd always assumed Wilby was a 40-mile-an-hour limit, and I was photographed by the camera travelling at 37 miles an hour.
Doug was issued with a speeding ticket.
I thought it was unfair, and I thought, well, I'll speak to my solicitor about this and point out that I think it's unfair and see what his view on that is. And John sort of advised me that not only was it unfair, it was actually also unlawful. The only speed sign that was in place at the time of the offence was in the left, to the left of the road, in the left-hand lane.
The law clearly states that at the start of every new speed restriction there must be 2 road signs, one on either side of the carriageway. Had Doug not complained, he'd now be £60 out of pocket and carrying 3 points on his licence. The missing sign has now been replaced, but when asked where the old one went, Northamptonshire County Council were baffled. They're now investigating whether the missing sign was not replaced when an old lamppost was removed, or the rather less likely possibility that it was stolen. The solicitor who helped fight Mr Sparks' case says it may well open the floodgates for other motorists.
If any motorist has had a ticket from that particular camera between the end of January and the beginning of April, he or she is entitled, in my view, provided they can prove that they used the same route that Doug did, to apply to have the points removed from their licence and their fine repaid.
But motorists, beware. With all signs now firmly in place, this speed camera is back in action. Sarah Beecroft, Anglia News, Northamptonshire.